Hey all, how you doing? It's your host again for the Pitch Talk vlog, JBK, coming with a coaching opinion. What a week of games internationally and throughout the women's game. So, through the women's game, we've had some from very good results and some poor ones, in my opinion. One of them being Chelsea have again beaten Man City for a second time in 2 months, and one was in the league, and the other one was in the cup. So the Community Shield, the first women's Community Shield to be played at Wembley, and Chelsea won that one, albeit there was a red card that made the difference. But this time it was Chelsea's far superior quality. Not far superior, I'd say superior quality on the day that won the game. So Chelsea have it in their hands to go on and beat their other rivals and possibly retain the title for the first time. Should be good. We also look at Arsenal. Arsenal went a goal down to Bristol City and then managed to bring it back and was able to win the game last week, but then went to Brighton and beat them 5-0. Ironically, it wasn't convincing. For the scoreline that it wasn't convincing, and it was close. Looking at the highlights on the Women's Football Show, which is on Sundays on the BBC Red Button, or if you wanted to watch it in the evening, in the evening at 11 o'clock on BBC Two after Match of the Day. There were those two games. And I thought, we should really be doing a little bit more, but apparently Arsenal have lost 7 players to injuries. Not sure how that's happened, but now it's a case of, well, what did we actually do during the transfer window? Did we actually bring players in, or was it just a case of, well, sod's law, we're just going to get through this as much as possible like we have always done? And yes, we are competitive, but that's not the case anymore. Everton continuing their strong season, beating West Ham and also Aston Villa in 2 games. So West Ham was a 2-1 win for Everton, and the Aston Villa game was a 6-0 win, which was brilliant at both games. Brilliant. It shows that there's a difference, and I think with Carlo Ancelotti at Everton's helm in the men's side, Willie Kirk is actually getting a bit of a helping hand to see things from a different perspective, and it probably is making a massive difference to the way Everton is playing. That's my opinion. I don't think it's true. I think it's just one of those things that if you've got 2 coaches working at the same time to get the best out of their players, and it so happens to be a female and a male coach, female and a male football team coach on both sides at the club. They're just working together to try and get the best out of it. So you've got a Champions League winner, and then you've also got somebody who's up and coming through the women's game, which is brilliant. Other results going through: Manchester United beat Brighton the first week, and then was able to get the W against Tottenham away. Not easy. That was 2 games that were very, very difficult for Manchester United from what I saw in terms of the performance, but ground it out, and it was more of a professional performance on both sides. Get the goals and then just sit and wait and see what happens. Tottenham had their chances, Brighton had their chances, but eventually didn't get the goals, which ultimately proved costly. Aston Villa have been off for the past 2 weeks, just simply because they have had a number of individuals who have all tested positive for COVID-19, so they've had both their games for the past 2 weeks called off, which is tough because they wanted to get their games going, and with this pandemic you kind of don't know what you're going to do going forward. It's either you're going to have a game or you're not going to have a game, which is tough. But again, that's where we're at. Speaking of which, we've now got the internationals for the women's game, and it'll be interesting to see how it goes in the next few weeks, and what the results are, not just for England, who play Germany, but also for other neighbouring countries, and for those that are having to travel for quite a distance for games. So yeah, that will be the next thing, especially where Americans have been brought in. I'm pretty sure a lot of them will either self-isolate and stay in England, or will travel back to the US and have their games there. Not sure what the situation will be, but let's see what happens. Moving on to the men's international side, the Nations League and the Nations League and the Euros qualifiers were played also this week. And it was tough for the Republic of Ireland, Northern Ireland as well. Wales had a good turnout. They had a friendly and 2 matches where they lost, they won, and they drew. So they've done well. If we're looking at the so-called big home nations, you look at Scotland. The last 3 games that they've had, they've done well. I think they've got 2 wins and a draw out of it, which is brilliant. So they won on penalties with the draw, and then managed to get through and sneak in with a European place, if I remember correctly. I might be wrong about that, but don't quote me. We've also got the Republic of Ireland, home country for me. Yep, I've got family in the Republic and Northern Ireland. So 2 games that I want to be brief about, and I want to speak about, is the game that we had on Thursday evening. Just couldn't get the ball across the line, and I feel like this is a change in the way that we play. We've had 3 draws since the internationals have started again, and I feel like it's not been great. We really want to get more out of the games, but I feel like there's a changing of how we play with new personnel coming in, and just seeing how it goes. Manager needs time. Let's see what he can do. Yes, he's at the top, but he's been with the Republic of Ireland for quite a while, so he knows some of the players that he wants to bring in. And if they perform on a club level, then you know that he's going to get the best out of them and best out of the players. The players that were there before. So hopefully that works. If it doesn't, we'll see what happens. Northern Ireland had managed to get through on penalties, and then had 2 games where they lost. So one was against Norway and the other one was against Slovakia, I believe. Or did they beat Slovakia? It might have been that they beat Slovakia on the penalties. I don't know. I don't want to go into it, but it was one of those things where you kind of go, okay, so it's not all rosy on the Emerald Island, but as far as we see, we're trying to. There are things changing and rapidly changing, especially with managerial changes. You know that there's going to be new tactics, new ways of playing, and you're just trying to get the best out of your players, especially on an international level where results are everything. So with a Euro Nations League position up for grabs, they had a couple of games and they lost both of those in the group, but also when they had their semi-final in the Euro qualifiers, different story. They actually won it on penalties, which was brilliant to see. So at least one country will hopefully head to the Euros next year. One of the 2 countries will hopefully head to the Euros next year. England, it's up to England. It's one of those things. England have had their own problems on and off the pitch. They've brought players in. I think this is more of a tinker system at the moment with England. Managed to win against Wales. Then they played again two other games and they lost their last one just last night. Again, had 2 red cards. I think there's just a system that used to work for the players and is now no longer working. And it's a case of, well, over time, again, the manager has been heavily criticised. I think he's just looking for ways to see what these new players will fit and how they fit into the system going into the Euros next year, and also going into the Nations League games going forward. They're now third in the table, and you never know what happens. It's just one of those games. They beat Belgium on Sunday, but they lost to Denmark, and everybody was up in awe about that. And I was thinking, well, that's what happens. That's football. Life happens, and you just kind of move on with it. So let's see what happens going forward. There's a lot of formation conversations that everybody is talking about, and I think that's a big thing, not just with adult players, but also with anybody coming into teams who have not played a certain style before, or even had the kind of coaching that you would go, okay, well, I know what I'm doing in this position when it's required. Everybody's been battering about the 3-4-3. Again, 3-5-2. Anything with a back three, everybody seems to hate now, and I get why, but I also think, well, 4-3-3 has been outplayed. It's been outdated for many years, and the only reason why it works is because Liverpool won the league with it. But then they had the players to do so. So people need to recognise that if you don't have the players to do so, it's probably not the formation that you need to be playing. Regardless of whether you've got a 3 at the back or whether you've got a 4 or 5, whatever it is. Just as long as you can get the best out of your players and they can be versatile in each position, you may just know, you know what, this is what we've got. But people need to realise that regardless of the formation, you're there to play football and give it your all. And if you can't, then just let the manager know. Let the manager know. Anyway, I hope everybody has a great weekend. I hope everybody gets a chance to watch the football this week. And depending on what the new lockdown measures are in England, we'll see how it goes. For all, one and all, JBK, see you later.